How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Fam, and we are back with another FPL video. And today we're going to be looking at 3 wildcard drafts that I'm kind of mulling over, as I am currently on a wildcard, and I know a lot of managers are as well. So we're going to take a look at 3 different formations, how they change the way you play, and which ones I am currently favoring at the moment. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, or haven't done so already. It greatly helps out the channel, and turn those notification bells on so you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. Also, drop us a follow over on Twitter so you can keep up to date with any and all FPL news, from price changes to injury news and anything in between, as well as give us a follow over on Twitch so you can see when we go live for our preview and deadline streams. We will be doing another preview stream Monday coming, as well as the deadline stream on Saturday as per normal for Game Week 8. So without further ado, let's talk about our partners for this FPL season with Fantasy Football Scout. So if you haven't heard about Fantasy Football Scout, they have a fantastic members area during the regular season. It's £25 for the membership, and that lasts the entire year. And during the off season, they give a 20% discount. But if you have missed that discount, fear not, you can still get the membership for £25, and it's fantastic. You can see the membership area just behind me. You have a bunch of different stats that you can use, powered by Opta stats, and create your own custom tables. You have the Rate My Team tool, you have the season ticker, player comparison tools, a whole array of things that you can use to help elevate your FPL game. So use the link down in the description below so that you can get access to these exclusive tools to help elevate your FPL game. Sign up now. Now, the first wildcard draft that I've been considering is just the standard 3-4-3. Go with something basic, go with something pretty straightforward, easy to manage, and can help me forward in the next several game weeks and keep my flexibility and my options open. So at the back, 4.5 million Ramsdale, now 4.6 million, which has been accounted for in the squad value that you see above me. These price points are not what I've used to calculate the squad value. I've calculated based on how much they cost at the time of recording, which is the 9th of October. So make sure to, when you go to calculate that out, it's the prices that they are at the time as of the 9th of October. So this is after the price increase of Son last night. So Ramsdale, 4.6 million. It says 4.5 on the graphic. With Foster, you play Ramsdale week in, week out, and I think this is definitely a viable strategy. He's going to get some save points. He may not necessarily always keep a clean sheet, but he is the type of goalkeeper that could pick up bonus if he does get a clean sheet, because he will be making a good bit of saves, as Arsenal do concede some shots, but from outside the box, similar to like how Burnley were a few seasons ago, and will often make passes out from the back at a high completion rate when playing against lower opposition. At the back, pretty straightforward. Trent's in there, assuming he's fit. Antonio Rudiger, probably the most nailed-on Chelsea defender. And then Cancelo, bit of a, of a more riskier pick, but has played every minute in the Premier League thus far for Pep Guardiola. And then 2 budget options in defense with Ben White and Livramento. Ben White could easily become Lamptey when he comes back. He could be a Brighton defender, and I just think it's a very good price point there and good value. Also, you can have Raya in goal from Brentford instead if you didn't want to go on the Arsenal double up, but most weeks you won't be necessarily relying on Ben White to play in your team with the players that we have available. And then Livramento, just someone who's been fantastic value for initially 4 million this season, and I think he could provide, some value when you need him in certain games. Like, let's say, Arsenal have a very tough fixture versus Man United, and you don't think Saka's going to get anything, but Livramento has like Wolves at home or something, then you could chuck him in there, and you could potentially get some points out of him there. And speaking of Saka, one of my players on my players to target video, so make sure to go check that out as well. He's in there as well. Could easily be Smith Rowe and Buemo. I think there's a lot of options there, but we've gone with Saka just because we have Tony up front. Rafinha, Salah, and Foden. I think Salah and Rafinha kind of explain themselves. Salah, best premium in the game by far. Rafinha, best probably budget midfielder in the game probably right now. And then Phil Foden, he could easily be a mid-price midfielder. I think I like that price point. If Mason Mount shows form, you can always switch to him. if Foden is getting more, rotated. If Gundogan comes back and shows some form, he could easily be that option there as well. But I like that price bracket if we need to ever go to a premium midfielder. It's only like one downgrade of a striker and up for Foden. So an Antonio could easily go down to a 4.5. We can up Foden a little bit and then up Douglas Luiz as an example for a slightly cheaper midfielder. So there's always options there as well. You always want to be around 2 moves away from basic getting anyone you want. And I think Foden could potentially do some serious damage either on that left-hand side or in that left spot in central midfield. Ivan Toney, just a very good pick and has been playing quite well for Brentford. Could potentially have even more FPL returns this season. And then Antonio, he's just kind of there because he keeps scoring every week. So why do we want to get rid of him? Could go for the likes of Raul Jimenez, who seems to have better fixtures. Antonio's are starting to get a little bit worse, but Antonio's not on international duty due to the restrictions that he would have had if he had gone out and played for Jamaica. So he's going to be ready to go for game week 8. And then Romelu Lukaku. I mean, if you're going without Romelu Lukaku from game week 8 onwards, do at your own risk because Chelsea's fixtures are fantastic. So the squad value for that team is 100.8 million. I think that's the most expensive out of the 3 drafts that we have as well. And again, that is calculating based on the price points as if they were bought brand new with no value added, like tacked on. So in the graphic you see Rudiger 5.7 million. I calculated him at 5.8 at his actual price. So that's going to do it for that draft with a 3-4-3. Let's switch it up a little bit and see what a 4-4-2 draft would look like. Now with a 4-4-2 draft, I went with something slightly a little bit different, although for slightly less squad value. 100.6 million, 0.2 less than the 3-4-3, sorry. And we've gone up pretty heavy at the back in terms of our price points there. Playing game in, game out. Trent Alexander-Arnold needs no explanation. Antonio Rudiger, Cancelo, and Azpilicueta, someone who was also in my players to target video. I think the Chelsea double up could be quite good over these next 4 or so fixtures. And then you can always just change out Azpilicueta to the likes of a Ruben Diaz, who's going to have great fixtures for a lot longer in that City defense. And he's going to play game in, game out. So it's going to be great. And I think he could be quite well. Or you can even change it to a Reece James. You can always go down when Man United's fixtures get better. You can swap him back to Luke Shaw if you wanted to go that route. That is something that is always on the cards. And the Livermento just kind of enables it with budget in that 4.2 million slot. In goal, we've actually gone with something a bit different. We've gone with rotating goalkeepers here. Something that hasn't been prevalent over the last season or so. And I think that it could potentially make a comeback here with Raya and Guaita having basically perfectly dovetailing fixtures. When Raya has a bad fixture, Guaita has a good one. And I think the worst possible combination, I think, for them is when one of them plays like City or Chelsea, the other one plays like Arsenal, who don't typically score very many goals, and it could be just where they get a few save points. Yeah, if they concede, okay, they probably end up with a 3-pointer or something like that. And that's perfectly fine from a goalkeeper. And I think the rotation could be quite effective. Although it could, burn you, because there's been times where like Martinez last season would go up against a much more difficult team, or would seem like a more difficult team on paper, and come away with a double-digit hole. So that could be something that would probably put some FPL managers off. Me personally, I think it's still potentially a viable strategy. And I just wanted to mention it in this draft just because it looked okay to do so. In midfield, we have the likes of Smith Rowe, someone who we also mentioned on the Players to Target video under Bukayo Saka's section. He could be potentially quite good in the number 10 role, getting in the box more often, looking to score goals, and for 5.3 million, that can definitely not be overlooked. Rafinha and Stala, still mainstays. Douglas Luiz is just a budget enabler. He can be anyone you want. Sissoko, Brownhill, if you need the extra 0.1, can easily be done. Jack Grealish, I put him in here instead of Phil Foden, but again, could be any kind of mid-priced midfielder. And I think just Grealish could be a bit more safe than Foden because he's someone who's less likely to be rotated, as he kind of seems to have that nailedness out on that left-hand side for Man City. The £100 million man has done quite well this season under Pep Guardiola. Just the FPL returns are probably slightly lacking from what we would anticipate from an 8 million defender or midfielder, playing for Manchester City. But I think the returns are still to come. And if you had the ability to get Jack Grealish in the wild card, you can basically get him for 0.1 million cheaper because he's now dropped to 7.9 million, which could prove to be that extra 0.1 million you need to bring in other players. And then up front, we've gone with Lukaku, who just makes sense with the fixture run, as we mentioned. But then we have Raul Jimenez, who we also mentioned on the last draft when we were talking about Antonio. He's someone who seems to, now that he's scored, he's gaining confidence, getting 2 assists. Both assists were to Hwang, who is also in our draft as well at 5.5 million. If these two are playing game in, game out, they could form a fantastic partnership. And I think that it could be a great budget offer there with Hwang at 5.5 million. And I think probably their best front three Wolves is Traore, just because he's a brute pace and he just needs to learn how to cross, basically. And then Jimenez and Hwang are just going to finish it off every time they get the chance to do so. So Jimenez, now that he's scored, Hwang scored as well, seems to, kind of cemented his position lower. With the fixtures they got coming up, they could do some serious damage. So they could be on a lot of wild cards, and I'm personally considering that double up as well. Even though Wolves only score 1 to 2 goals, maybe now that they've got that kind of rejuvenation, hey, look, Jimenez has finally scored, the fans went crazy and whatnot, maybe they go on to start scoring a lot more goals, because Bruno Lage's team has shown that they can attack quite effectively, as the underlying stats for XGI have shown as well for Wolves as a whole team. Now, with those two drafts, those are two more normal drafts. 4-4-2, 3-4-3, 3-5-2-ish kind of formations. This could easily be a 3-5-2 if we downgraded Hwang and upgraded Douglas Luiz. But let's go with something a bit different. Let's go with something that's really heavy at the back with a 5-2-3. Now, the cheapest draft of the lot, 100.5 million in squad value. We've gone extremely heavy at the back. Now, this is something that I forgot completely about, that you can even do in FPL. I thought that you had to have a minimum of 3 midfielders. Turns out it's only a minimum of 2. So I completely forgot about that, and I said, well, yeah, I guess that makes sense, because you can play a 4-2-3-1 in football, and you just kind of just assume that one of those players in midfield is a front player, and then you got a 5-3-2, and bang, you got your formation in FPL. So what would this team be doing week to week? Well, it would be playing 5 at the back, 5 premium defenders, double City defense, double Chelsea defense with Trent Alexander-Arnold, and then with the goalkeeper, I've just put a premium goalkeeper in there just to show how heavy at the back you can potentially go and still get a quite good looking team. Ederson, I think, is someone who's going to be the Golden Glove winner this season, almost certainly, whether it be him or Mendy. It's your choice, basically. It's just a 6 million goalkeeper at the end of the day. Ederson probably going to make slightly less saves than Mendy, but probably less likely to concede. And also could potentially get himself an assist, because Ederson's passing is absolutely insane. And there's still that promise that he might even take a penalty, potentially. But I think you're just basically picking the best defenders from the best teams. That's pretty much it. Trent's the best defender at Liverpool in terms of FPL-wise. Diaz and Cancelo, best defenders at City. In terms of FPL-wise, maybe with Laporte being a risk, he probably wouldn't come into that category. Azpilicueta and Rudiger going to be your safest bets for Chelsea as well. So you'd be playing 5 at the back with a premium goalkeeper. You can also have Ramsdale or something to alleviate some funds and upgrade elsewhere. Also, 100.5 million squad value, the cheapest out of the 3 drafts as well. And in midfield, you would only be playing 2 midfielders. You'd be playing the 2 best ones too, Rafinha and Salah. And then on the bench, you would have your 3 kind of more budget midfielders, your enablers, Sissoko, Douglas Luiz, and then Smith Rowe as well, who we mentioned in the previous draft. If you downgraded to the likes of Brownhill, you could potentially get that 0.1 extra million and go for the likes of Mbeumo, who is playing up front out of position for 5.5 million. And then up front, you have 3 strikers. You can go with a very budget forward, so this could easily be, Ivan Toney. But I think Adam Armstrong has some fantastic fixtures starting in game week 8 for Southampton. Likes to take a lot of shots, is very involved, and is very kind of the main focal point of the attack. No matter who he's playing alongside, whether it be Theo Walcott or Che Adams, he's going to be the man to put the goals in the back of the net for them. And I think they could do quite well over the next 5 or so fixtures. Raul Jimenez, again, his confidence being boosted helps out dramatically. Antonio could easily go in this slot as well. And then Romelu Lukaku is someone who's going to be a mainstay in this one as well. And the thing is, you would think, oh, well, the team's not very flexible, Pilot. Why would you have so much money in defense? Well, you're always 2 transfers away from something anyway. So if you really wanted to upgrade, let's say a more prevalent midfielder came around for Manchester City. Well, you can always downgrade the likes of Diaz, let's say it's 6.1 million, to Livramento. That gives you an additional 1.9 million, which means you can upgrade, the likes of Smith Rowe all the way up to somebody in the 7.5 million bracket or so, given a little bit of extra cash in there. If you wanted to keep a little bit extra cash so that you make it easy in one transfer to go from Lukaku back to Ronaldo in game week 15 or so, you could just have Saw in goal for Wolves, and that would probably be perfectly fine. Or 2 rotating goalkeepers, or even a 4.5 million goalkeeper. There's a lot of different ways you can slice up this team, but I think that having the back line of just 30 plus points of just constant, points rolling in could prove to be quite good for the likes of City, Chelsea, and just Trent, because Trent can always just get an assist. He doesn't necessarily need to keep a clean sheet to get bonus points either as well, so that could be something that just is a lot more consistent than going for, 2 or 3 budget midfielders that, might not necessarily get boatloads of points every game week, or maybe, a couple of budget forwards that might not necessarily have the greatest fixtures that you kind of have to rely on every week. At least with these guys, Chelsea's going to keep clean sheets, City's going to keep clean sheets, and they're going to be dominating teams left, right, and center, and their fixture run is very good, especially over the next 4 for those 2 teams. So definitely something I'm considering would be a different way to play FPL for sure. Would break up kind of the template if this formation does decide to become quite good. And it always, every now and again, the big at the back kind of situation comes up, and I think this could be a potential time to do it. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Which draft should I potentially be leaning towards? Me personally, I kind of favor this one, to be honest. Either this one or the 4-4-2. As I think they potentially could be either the most flexible or the most interesting as well. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. And that's going to do it for our 3 drafts that we have lined up for you for Game Week 8. And that is going to do it for our FPL Wildcards Game Week 8 edition. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new or haven't done so already. It greatly helps out the channel, as well as turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. Drop us a follow over on Twitter so you can keep up to date with any and all FPL news, from price changes to injury news and anything in between. And give us a follow over on Twitch if you want to see when we go live for our preview and deadline streams. There's always a pinned comment down below on every YouTube video to let you know when the next streams are. And lastly, use the link in the description below so that you can get access to the Fantasy Football Scout members area. It's going to help elevate your FPL game. Thank you all for watching, and until the next one, take care.